Hello everyone, this is the opening of the movie Despicable Me 1. The creation of the world's most evil villain, Gru, and the destructive minions begins here. The opening story for the next episodes about Gru and the minions' journey to become evil and their life with their 3 young daughters begins here. Let's review the movie by going back to the original episode, Despicable Me 1. The opening of the movie recreates the Egyptian pyramid. A group of tourists are competing to take photos here. A naughty boy immediately ran up to the wooden fence to play. Accidentally, the boy fell down the pyramid, but as soon as he fell, the pyramid rolled down like rubber and pushed the boy up into the sky. It turns out that the pyramids here are all inflatable balls. It turns out that in the world right now, there is a situation of theft of national heritage. Every country sends forces to protect their country's heritage. Anything that approaches is shot down. At the same time, our male lead unexpectedly appeared. He suddenly met a boy who was sad because he dropped his ice cream cone. He was kind enough to give the boy a balloon dog. The boy was so happy that he immediately popped the balloon. That's the evil person, Gru. As soon as he entered the store, he saw too many people lining up. Let's freeze them quickly. He immediately turned everything into ice and naturally took the items as his own. The car's carriage looks like a giant iron lotus snail. Everything he does makes people feel scared. Even his dog makes people afraid. When the bell rang, Gru took an iron letter in his hand and walked out to look at the door. It turned out that 3 little girls from the orphanage were selling cookies. Gru immediately pretended to be an automatic machine to scare the 3 girls. Gru then went down to the secret basement. It turned out that underneath the house, a giant space appeared. Here, hundreds of minions are working hard, though play is primary and work is secondary. The minions immediately gathered to celebrate their boss. Gru immediately began his presentation about his criminal missions. First was stealing the Statue of Liberty, then the Eiffel Tower, but that was just a model. He decided to carry out a mission that would shock the world for everyone to know about him, to steal the moon. To steal the moon, Gru plans to steal a gun that shrinks everything, to make it easier. Meanwhile, the 3 children, after a hard day selling cookies, returned to the orphanage. The manager immediately expressed her unpleasant attitude. Luckily today, the 3 of them sold quite a bit of candy, so they didn't have to sleep in the box like this kid. Gru then called his mother to tell her that he was about to steal the moon. Even though she was old, she was strong enough for this guy to fly far away. Gru then stopped at a bank. He didn't go in to withdraw money, but went straight to the bathroom. It turns out this is a secret passage to the evil bank. He went to the evil bank to get a loan to carry out his plan to steal the moon. While waiting, suddenly a guy with 4 eyes came and sat next to him. His name is Vector. As soon as they met, he continuously talked about his crimes. Gru then walked in to meet the evil bank president. But he did not agree to give him the money, because the bank had lost a lot of money from his previous transactions. If Gru had a shrink ray in hand, then the matter of money would be discussed. At this time, he also revealed that Vector was the person who had just stolen the Egyptian pyramids. Frustrated and leaving, Gru immediately pulled out a gun and shot Vector's head into an ice block to relieve his anger. Meanwhile, at a secret base, a shrink ray is being tested, turning a huge elephant into a tiny mouse. Gru and 2 minions successfully stole the gun and flew away. On the way back, the group was happily heading towards the open sky when Vector drove a spaceship to steal the gun. Seeing that his efforts were being robbed, Gru immediately accelerated his spaceship to chase him. A chase and aerial dogfight broke out. Gru continuously fired bullets and missiles at Vector's spaceship, but Vector's missile fired flares, and the missiles crashed into them and exploded. Suddenly, Vector took out the shrink ray and shot it straight at Gru's spaceship, causing the whole spaceship to start getting smaller, from a massive spaceship to becoming like a mini-plane. Luckily, it still had enough room to carry 3 people home. No, Mr. Gru just approached and activated the spy scope inside, but Vector discovered it and fired a laser gun, blowing it up in front of the scope. Gru didn't give up and started to break in, but before he could do anything, he was punched. Gru continued to jump up and down the wall, continuously eating onions. If he didn't get kicked, he got crushed. He even got eaten by sharks. Vector immediately gave him many bombs and bullets to welcome Gru to his house. Just after eating a few rockets, Gru saw those 3 little girls. 3 little girls came here to sell cookies. Vector knew that there was a rule that only people selling goods could get in. Gru imagined that the 3 little girls would get the gun out for him. He asked Dr. Nefario to create a dozen tiny robots shaped like cookies. Gru then approached the orphanage to apply for adoption. The minions created a profile, but the minions caused a mess, making the files be all over the place. Seeing that, Gru immediately started saying sweet words that made the homeroom teacher agree to let him adopt them. When the 3 little girls heard the news of being adopted, they were immediately happy. But as soon as she met Gru, the little girl was frightened by his evil face. Meanwhile, Vector was playing with the shrink ray he had just stolen. He immediately played with the gun and shot it at the toilet, turning it into a small one. As soon as he approached the toilet, he blew it away. Water from the toilet faucet blew straight into his face. Meanwhile, the 3 children arrived at Gru's house. They were immediately scared when they saw the room full of dangerous weapons. The demon-faced dog immediately rushed forward to attack, but was stopped by Gru. But when the girl tried to go and hug him, he ran away. Little Edith immediately ran into the box full of spikes. As soon as the door closed, something red flowed out. The two little girls outside hugged each other in fear. Turns out it was just strawberry milk. But the three children were constantly mischievous, causing Gru to warn the three girls to obey. Meanwhile, below the base, the minions are actively working. Dr. Nefario immediately started a group of robots that could dance to music. A minion immediately ran into the main hall, but Gru didn't ask because he wanted a bunch of cookie robots. At home, little Edith was trying to get the remote when she accidentally hit the secret switch. A helicopter appeared before her eyes. The three children immediately curiously walked inside to the secret base. Meanwhile, a minion is drinking a medicine that makes his body fly into the air. It's an anti-gravity serum. But the minion accidentally flew out the window and into the sky. And this is a dart gun that can knock enemies unconscious. But Gru immediately said he wanted a wind-up dart gun. The doctor immediately brought out the cookie robot as Gru requested. Suddenly, he discovered three children exploring the room. Edith mischievously shoots the eel of her youngest sister's teddy bear. The girl immediately wanted another unicorn. Gru has to ask the three minions to create another unicorn for her. The minions understand. The other two minions are responsible for keeping these three girls in check. Then three minions dressed as a family drove into the supermarket to buy goods. But these guys go from vandalizing to just sitting around. This minion girl even sings a song. Meanwhile, at Gru's house, three little girls and two minions are destroying his house. So Gru lulled the three little girls to sleep. The youngest girl, Agnes, immediately wanted Gru to tell her a story. But Gru immediately grinned and did not agree. Three minions then walked over with a homemade unicorn made from a toilet brush. The next day, Gru plans to bring the three children to sell cookies at Vector's house. But the three girls immediately said they had to go to dance class so they couldn't sell cookies. Gru immediately threatened, but the three of them kept going. In the end, Gru had to follow the three children to class. The youngest girl immediately wanted Gru to come to the class performance and even linked her hand in commitment. This made the sisters sitting next to him admire him for being a good father. After learning about Gru's plan, the three girls brought the cookies with robots inside. While he wasn't paying attention, the robot cookies started to act. The robots quickly hacked the password and disabled the camera. A door in the room containing the gun was cut open. Gru and two minions jumped in. Just as they were about to carry the gun out, the robots welded the door shut, trapping the three people inside. At this time, Gru can only escape with two minions another way. As soon as he ran out, he met Vector. Luckily, the three of them were able to escape in time. The three of them immediately ran along the ventilation path. When he was about to run out, he fell down the ventilation shaft and was almost discovered by Vector. After a struggle, a minion lost his grip, causing the gun to hit Vector's head. Taking the opportunity that Vector was still confused, the three of them immediately ran away. So the mission to recapture the shrink ray was a success. On the way home, the three children immediately wanted to go to the amusement park ahead. Gru immediately thought that he would dump the three children here. When Gru tried to leave, the staff asked to have an adult with them. So Gru reluctantly had to follow. The youngest girl wanted a unicorn and asked for one. He immediately had to spend money to let the three of them play shooting games. But the game was so difficult that the three of them shot for a while before getting one hit. But the owner immediately said it had to fall down to be considered a winner. Gru angrily spent the money again, and then he pulled out his giant gun and shot. One blow blew the store away. You won. The three children immediately said it was so wonderful. Everyone returned after a day out, but the doctor immediately told Gru that he had something to do, not play with the children. Gru immediately called the bank manager and wanted to show him how the shrink ray worked. Next is a report of his plan. But the director immediately did not agree with Gru's plan. Because he didn't like him, Gru remembered that when he was young, his mother always ignored all his inventions. The director immediately said Gru did not have any significant achievements. Nowadays there are many younger, more agile villains, so he said goodbye to Gru. Gru then immediately announced that the plan to steal the moon was cancelled because he could not borrow money. The minions were sad because of that. Of course, the youngest girl immediately came over and gave him her piggy bank. Inside were just a few coins, so the other minions immediately began donating their own money to the plan. Gru immediately announced that if they would not give us money, we would build our own rocket. The plan begins. The rocket has begun to take shape, and Dr. Nefario is working hard to build it. But the implementation of the plan was the same as the day the children participated in the competition. Meanwhile, the director met his son Vector to inform him that Gru had stolen the shrink ray. It turned out that he deliberately did not lend money to Gru to give his son Vector the opportunity to steal the moon. Vector immediately took out his ink gun and declared that the moon would be his. Meanwhile, at Gru's house, the children want him to tell a story. Gru immediately told a story, but before it could be finished, the children were all asleep. Dr. Nefario then continued to remind Gru that he should know where his real job lies. The next day, the homeroom teacher suddenly came to pick up the children. It turned out that the doctor had called her to come pick up the children, so Gru had to say goodbye to the three children. Wearing a pink rocket-shaped spacesuit, he remembered when he was a child, looking up at the moon. He entered the doctor's ship and immediately began giving orders to prepare for launch. 10 seconds to countdown. When the ship started to move away, Vector immediately came and shot his squid gun and successfully climbed onto the ship. Suddenly, he appeared above the cockpit and immediately electrocuted him, causing Vector to fall to the ground. Gru told him to let him eat porridge. Vector immediately turned on the flying suit, but he crashed into the main electricity, causing him to be electrocuted again. The missile is now flying at high speed, flying past these minions. The ship began to separate. Gru reached the moon. He immediately started firing the shrink ray at the moon, causing the entire moon's surface to shrink. At this time on Earth, the tides immediately disappeared. The moon is now only as small as a ball. He was happy when he saw the ticket he bought to participate in the dance. At this moment, the moon suddenly began to grow and transform back into its original form. Gru now flies all the way back to Earth. The three children are waiting for Gru to join them. Dr. Nefario is trying to contact him to report the side effects of the gun. At this time, Gru went straight to the theater and he immediately ran into the performances that had ended. Suddenly, he read a message and immediately learned that Vector had captured the three children. Gru immediately ran to his house. Vector immediately asked him to hand over the moon. Gru can only give it to him, but Vector refused to return the three children. He immediately threatened to punch him in the face. Vector immediately shot a missile at Gru, so he confidently confronted him and quickly dodged the incoming missiles, causing the building's door to explode. Gru angrily stepped forward and punched the insolent shark. Vector immediately began to run away. Gru immediately ran up the pyramid and promptly jumped onto the spaceship. At this time, Dr. Nefario also flew the spacecraft to the destination. Gru fell down, but luckily the doctor piloted the spaceship to catch him. The doctor immediately informed him that the larger the object, the faster the effect of the shrink ray would wear off. The moon began to gradually grow bigger, causing the spacecraft to start tilting to one side and disrupting the balance. Their spaceship approached Vector's spaceship. Gru immediately asked the three children to jump out of the spaceship. The two younger girls were able to jump down, but the eldest sister, Margot, was captured by Vector. But before they could laugh, the moon pushed the two people down. The eldest sister, Margot, grabbed the rope and immediately stepped in to save the day. Suddenly, the rope broke and the two people fell. In an emergency, the minions gathered to save two people. At this time, the moon gradually became larger, activating the system to push the spacecraft up. The moon now destroyed the ship and brought Vector and himself back into space. So Vector was trapped on the moon. The media once again had the opportunity to report that the moon had returned to Earth and wondered who that hero was. After that, Gru continued to raise three children. Seeing Gru kissing the three children, the minions demanded that he kiss them. So Gru had to kiss all these elite minions. At the end of the episode, Gru and his mother and the minions came to see the performance of these three little princesses. This is the end of the first Despicable Me movie. If you think these minions are cute, please leave a comment below. Remember to give us a like and comment. Now goodbye, and see you in the next videos.